how did it feel to know that you're going to get to go home?
If I jump up and show you, you wouldn't even believe it. You'd think I'm a nutcracker too. That's how bad I am and happy that I had these people do this for me. I'm serious. They don't never leave away from my heart and my soul. What happened to me.
Back in April of 1976, she reported that she was raped at knife point by an individual. She was taken to Hurley Hospital where a rape kit was done. Some of her clothing were collected into evidence, along with some what they referred to as spermatozoa was also collected at that rape kit at Hurley. Then after a few days, she came back to the police department and said, I just saw him over at the Quick Pick. And I think she may have said that she just saw him someplace else too. And she described the person looking much like the same person who attempted to rob her at her place of employment about a month earlier, a few weeks earlier. And she worked at least according to the police report, at a activities center. So when she came back to the police department after a day or two, they pulled out 500 photos to back up to. Before that, they picked out 3,000 photos and had her look through 3,000 photos. When she looked through those 3,000 photos, she picked out an individual by the name of George Obgurn as somebody who resembles the suspect. And she also provided a composite sketch was given. But then a few days later, like I said, she came back and said, I just saw him. And the police gave her another 500 photos. And at the time, she looked at those photos with a friend of hers who was also with her when she was raped.
I ain't had no fear because I know I hadn't did nothing. So I ain't gonna feel something you didn't see. I don't get back in the day when I was young, about 25. I didn't do nothing. I might have had a misdemeanor couple like that. Other than that, I ain't going that far.
Right.
I don't steal, and I sure don't like to kill.
Right.
Because whoever I kill, I can't eat them. I don't see how anyone person can do that. And rape I don't like that, period. You say that I raped 5 women. And I know good and well. I don't care how young you know, you can't rape no 5 women. I don't think so. Matter of fact, I already know that ain't no man got no business forcing himself on no woman no way. So you either something up there ain't right, or I know that they ain't right. For you to do something like that, I wouldn't dream of nothing like that. I love everybody.
I didn't want to put John in jeopardy of spending the rest of his life in prison unless we looked under every stone, didn't leave anything unturned. And that's when we found the DNA evidence. So I'm happy that we did. So the police work back then was a little bit, as the kids would say, sus. You know, and they had one physical lineup where they put police officers in the lineup. You know, with the hope, I think our speculation is that the police officer who was investigating the case was hoping that she would pick out one of the other police officers and they could be done with it. And say, you know, we don't know. I mean, that's just our speculation. But we also, when we were going through this case, we also retained help from an expert witness, an eyewitness testimony, who could help us if it was to go to a jury, who could testify that eyewitness testimony is one of the most least reliable evidence that you can find. And the factors that go into play when somebody is using or when they're a victim of a crime and how they can misidentify somebody through that. You know, but luckily we were able to do all that stuff. I mean, you see all these people that we have in the room here fighting for you. You know, I've got an investigator, I've got a social worker, we had an expert on staff. all that was made possible through the Public Defender's Office and through the Michigan Indigent Defense Council or Commission. Without them providing us with the funds and the ability to get these people here, I don't know how your story would have ended up. I don't. We work as a team now. And part of our working philosophy, or how we work through our office, is a holistic defense approach, where we try to take care of our clients' legal needs, but also set them on a track where they don't come back. And that's where places like New Paths come into play. They help us put people like John, give him a place to stay, but also help other clients that we have who need rehabilitation help, and we can put them, and that's where they do such great work. Again, they're partners with us. For the justice system to really work, each player has to play their part, right? They need a zealous defense, and they need a prosecution that works for justice, and they need a judge to make the rules. If everybody is playing their part, that's how justice gets served. So even though a prosecutor and a defense attorney can be fierce advocates for their positions in court and fierce opposition, we're all still partners in finding justice. And one of the things that that I can't stress enough is the fact that the prosecutor here voluntarily dismissed this case. That takes a prosecutor operating from a place of strength and not weakness. Somebody who understands that their position is to seek justice and not just to seek a conviction. And I think in this case, everybody played their role, with the exception of one person, to ensure that justice was served. And that one person would be Trooper K, who, in my opinion, was at minimum negligent in their prosecution, or negligent in their investigation of the case. And John, unfortunately, had to pay the price by sitting here for 2 years. And the extradition is a one-way ticket, so now we got to figure out how we're going to get John back home.
And you could be surprised how I think these people are helping me do that. I'm going to be thinking about them a long time. I'm going to be thinking about these people in New Paths for a long time. Because I ain't never been treated that good before in my life.